Today we're making easy taco mac. That's what the recipe is called. As you can see, as always, I've got some sticky notes over it because, oh, by the way, do you like my hat? They let just anybody buy these now. I got it on Amazon. But back to what I was saying. So this recipe is supposed to be easy. It's a one-pot dinner, which we love. You could use beef or turkey. You want to use ground meat, which we also love. I love not having to cut things or chop things and just being able to pull it out of the package and kind of like dump it into a dinner. But there's a few things we have to do before we get started, as you can see on this pink Post-it note. So I want to shred up my cheese. I am using this block of pepper jack that we got at Costco. This was such a good deal. We didn't know about this before. I think it was like $8 and this was a much bigger block when we bought it. So if you have a Costco membership and you use cheese a lot, get this. But anyway, I'm gonna shred that up and we're gonna measure it out just so that it's ready to go. And the other thing we want to do is make some broth. So again, for this recipe, it gives you options. You could use either chicken broth or beef broth. Because it's called taco mac and it's sort of like a Mexican kind of flavor profile, I guess you would call it, I think the beef broth would go better. We are using ground turkey because, again, we get that at Costco. I know that like you might think that chicken broth would go with turkey and beef broth would go with beef, but I disagree. So we're gonna try the beef broth with the turkey. I think those flavors will go nicely together, and we'll let you know if I was right. So I'm gonna take you guys over while I'm shredding up the cheese and making the broth, and then we'll be ready to cook. This is gonna be such a quick recipe, so I'm really excited. Okay, so as you can see from my notes, we want to have 2 1/4 cups of cheese. And I think I mentioned this before, but that's because we have a little over 1.5 pounds of turkey because those packs that you get at Costco are really generously sized. So I've got my measuring cups ready to go, and we're just gonna start shredding this up. Alright, so we've got our 2 1/4 cups of cheese. This might be slightly more. I'd rather err on the side of having a little extra than not having enough, but it's pretty close. So next we're gonna boil up our water. I'm gonna use the kettle because it's faster than the stove, and then we're gonna use that to make our broth. So as you can see, I've already measured out the water. So let's just plug in the kettle. This thing has been the greatest kitchen purchase we have ever made. We got it with a gift card and it's like our favorite toy. And I will have it linked below in case you want to order one, but no pressure. Let's give it a white-a-roo. All right, so our broth is ready and we are ready to start cooking our turkey. So I'm gonna turn on my pan. Gonna do like a medium-high heat. Take the spatula out. I'm gonna add a tiny splash of avocado oil because that's what we do here. Just the tiniest bit so that my meat doesn't stick. And I'm gonna try to do this carefully because you've seen, oops, that was a lot. Don't tell anyone. Ooh, doesn't that look appealing? Yeah. This part's not so interesting, so I will see you guys when the meat is all cooked and we're ready to start adding in some flavor. Okay guys, as you can see, my turkey is now nicely cooked. Now the recipe does say to drain the fat or the oil. I think that's more important if you're cooking beef. Turkey doesn't really produce that much fat. There's a little bit of oil in here from earlier. I mean, there's really not that much liquid in the pan. I don't know, I just don't feel it necessary to drain this. If you want to drain yours, go ahead and do that, but I think it's more trouble than it's worth. So we're gonna skip that step. We're gonna go ahead and just start adding in our next set of ingredients. So I'm doing 2 cans of Rotel and they say not to drain it, so we're not. Just hoping I picked a large enough pot. Let's give that a stir. Okay, you know what guys, before this gets any crazier, as you can see my pot is pretty full and we haven't even added the pasta yet. I'm gonna actually switch to a larger pot. All right, I feel a lot more confident now. So let's get back to adding our ingredients. We want to add our broth, some milk, and I know that sounds weird and it might even look weird, but hey, that's what the recipe says. I think this is to make like a cheese sauce when we add in our shredded cheese. Now, if you had tomato sauce in a can, that's what you're supposed to use here, but I only just realized right before shooting that we were out, so I am using crushed tomato, and I think it'll be perfectly fine. Although I'll admit, this pot does not look the greatest right now. Let's give that a stir so it doesn't look so freaky. We want some taco seasoning, and I'm gonna have to add water to that. Trying to use that water to get the little bit of tomato that was left in my measuring cup. We're gonna stir this all up. All right, so now we want to raise our heat until this starts to simmer. And then once it starts simmering, we'll be ready to add our pasta in. So I am raising my heat. I'm going to leave this here and I'll see you guys when we're ready for the pasta. Okay guys, I think we have achieved a simmer here. So it's time to stir in the noodles. 1, 2, and 1/4. So we want to stir this. Then we want to cover and reduce the heat to low. And we want to cook this for 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm gonna set my timer for 15 and we will check in when it goes off and assess from there. All right guys, my timer just went off. So we are checking this together to see if our pasta is cooked. And I'll be honest, I can't really tell. I might have to do that little trick where you just kind of take a bite. Let's see. That's perfect. I don't think that needs any more time. Wow, there is some heat to this. All right, guys, we're ready to stir in our cheese. And it literally doesn't say anything else after that in the recipe. So I think that means we're just gonna melt the cheese and then we get to eat. In it goes. Wah. All right, let's distribute that up. And I know this is gonna melt down really nicely. Wow, that really disappeared in all this liquid. What the hell? Well, I did what it said. I just double checked again. I thought this was gonna be a little bit thicker of a sauce, so I'm not sure I'm pleased with that. That cheese just disappeared in here. I think we want to let some of this reduce out. We're veering from the recipe, guys. This is way too wet. It might be because I'm using such a tall pot. So we're gonna let it reduce. We're gonna raise the heat. I hope my pasta doesn't get mushy because that's kind of the worst thing ever. And I'm gonna let this reduce as much as it can. Okay guys, so I just wanted to show you, this is after reducing for almost like another 15 minutes, which is crazy. My pasta is starting to like break down, which is really not appetizing. We are finally getting thicker, but it's still not quite the consistency I want. This is still sort of like a soup, which is not what we were going for. So I'm definitely disappointed. I wish I had cooked the pasta with the lid off because I think that would have prevented this whole situation. I kind of want to keep reducing it, but I feel like the pasta is just gonna melt away. So I think we're gonna end it here, let it cool to a temperature we can taste it at, and then we'll do a taste test. But I think this was a fail. You guys, I know you're not supposed to say this on the internet, but I don't care. I hate this food blogger. I hate this recipe. I hate the way they did this post because their pictures do not look like what we produced when we followed the recipe. I don't understand how that picture has like, it looks good. It's like solid. Everything is kind of like blended together nicely. And I have a pot full of water. While I realize I might have had a little more liquid than somebody else who follows this recipe because I used a taller pot, I really believe that the reason why I have so much liquid is actually because they have you cook the pasta with the lid on. So there's no way for that liquid to reduce. So now I'm letting it reduce out now, but the pasta's already cooked. So now we're gonna end up with softer pasta, which like nobody really wants to eat that. So I'm pretty annoyed. I gotta tell you, I would not use any other recipes from this blog. This was a big disappointment. Okay, you're needed on set. Do you want a fork or a spoon?
I'm gonna try a fork for you.
I'm so hungry. I have a spoon in my bowl and I took a fork.
It tastes good, but I don't know why you want noodles with...
Give it a letter grade.
C.
Oh.
It's good, but I don't know why you want this with noodles.
I mean, I'm a person who likes meat sauce. But this really, I wanted more of like a cheese sauce than this turned out to have. So I guess I would give it a C also. Mariah Carey says no overhead lights. So I'm breaking her rule and I probably look terrible, but I'm doing it for the sake of the video. And I might owe that blogger an apology. I don't know. I think we're both a little wrong, so agree to disagree. But now that the food has cooled off, I'm tasting it and I actually taste the cheese flavor, which is part of why I was so disappointed before. It really didn't taste like that. It tastes a lot better. I'm still annoyed at the recipe. I still wish that we had reduced the liquid. I'm not gonna say it again. I said it a lot. I don't want to be repetitive. It tastes better now that it cooled off and I'm happy. And I might even make this again one day in the future. I don't know. But I just wanted to let you guys know it's not as bad as I thought it was before. So I am raising my letter grade from a C to a B. Not a B plus, not a B minus, just a B.
Me too.
Oh, wait.
I added sour cream and some avocado sauce that I made, and it tastes good.
Signing off.